What I'm about to share with you is not your standard run-of-the-mill astrology advice. Today, we are diving deep into the waters of consciousness transformation because on October 22nd, Neptune retrogrades back into Pisces for the final time in our lifetimes. This is the closing ceremony of a 165-year cycle. The last time that Neptune was in this position was in 1860, and unless there are some major revolutions in medicine and healthcare and technology associated with it, none of us are ever going to see Neptune in this position again. This is not just your average kind of transit. This is cosmic closure on a multi-generational scale. And for those of us who are committed to spiritual mastery, to conscious leadership, this offers a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to step into our fullest power and create the new chapter when Neptune moves into Aries again on our own terms. Hello everyone, I'm Chrissy, and on my channel I break down current astrological transits and most importantly give you practical tools, techniques and tips on how to maximize each of them and flow with the energy instead of fighting against the current. Today we're going to talk about Neptune's final dip back into Pisces. We're going to talk about what this means, the three major challenges that we can expect from this transit and how to deal with those. And we're also going to talk about some major opportunities that are going to be opening up with this transit. And of course, as always, I will be giving you a practical framework and toolkit to help you minimize the challenges and maximize the opportunities. So let's talk about why this is such a big deal. A lot of astrologers will tell you that Neptune retrograding into Pisces means face your illusions. And there is some truth in that, but it's such a reductive way of looking at it. Neptune as an outer planet has a huge influence on humanity as a whole. And to just state that it's about illusions is a very surface level and reductive way to look at this planet, which has such a major influence into how we feel, how we act, and most importantly, how we create things in our lives. Because what's actually happening is the final integration stage of humanity's spiritual evolution over the last 165 years. Since 2011, when Neptune first moved into Pisces, it's been dissolving the boundaries between the spiritual world and the practical material world. We have seen an explosion of conscious businesses, subjects such as manifestation, spiritual intelligence, emotional intelligence, psychic phenomena have become so much more mainstream and so much more talked about, which is fantastic. We have started to accept and acknowledge that having a spiritual practice isn't just something that's nice to have. It's a crucial part of living a whole and fulfilled and also a successful life. But here's what no one is telling you. When Neptune retrogrades back into Pisces, into its home sign and the final sign of the zodiac, it's not going to bring more confusion. It's bringing a crystallization of these insights. It's something like a final test. There is not more fog being brought onto us. Actually, the fog is clearing and it's showing which ones of us have been doing the spiritual work and which ones of us have just been spiritually bypassing. And this may be uncomfortable for some people, and it could ruffle a couple of feathers. So think of it this way. For 14 years during Neptune's transit through Pisces, the planet of spirituality, in the sign of spirituality, of the unconscious, of oneness and divinity, has been teaching us all about spiritual intelligence. Now, in its final journey through Pisces, it's asking us to apply all of the lessons we have learned, to use that spiritual intelligence, to use that wisdom we have gained to make actual practical changes in our lives. And this is what it's all going to be about once Neptune moves into Aries, because then we're starting a new cycle. But in order to start that new cycle, we need to make sure that all of the lessons we have learned from this last one are integrated and that we are actually using them and not just thinking about them or talking about them. So more than anything, this is going to be a time for review before Neptune moves on into Aries early in the spring next year. And we're going to need that time for review, because once Neptune moves into Aries permanently, Saturn moves into Aries permanently, Uranus moves into Gemini permanently, it's going to create a very volatile but also potent for creation kind of situation where a lot of things could possibly happen and a lot of change is likely to happen in the world. So we need this time now to review, and we get an opportunity now to integrate all of those lessons that we've learned and to see which parts of the old self we want to take with us into this new creation that's going to come forth from the beginning of next year, and which parts we want to leave behind. And there is an inherent sense of nostalgia and even melancholy that comes with that, because it invites you to kind of look back, and there will be parts of you that just don't fit anymore, parts of you that will never be the same again. And it's normal to feel a sense of longing for that, a sense of longing for times when things seemed simpler and safer, but that fortunately or unfortunately can never be again. So let's talk about 3 major challenges that we can expect when Neptune goes back into Pisces. Challenge number 1, the spiritual authenticity reckoning. As Neptune completes its journey through Pisces, many people will experience something that I call spiritual identity collapse. And that's the uncomfortable realization that some of their spiritual practices may not have been so much about real transformation and a bit more about performance and looking a certain way. They've been buying all the crystals, buying all the personal growth books, going on meditation retreats, going on psychedelic journeys, and crafted a whole kind of persona and a whole kind of identity around that. And now it's going to be time to ask, well, is that actually authentic? Or could it be that there are parts of me that I am hiding away because they are not spiritual, because they don't fit this new identity and this new persona that I've created? Have I maybe been using spiritual concepts to avoid doing the hard work? Is my high vibration actually just spiritual bypassing of the things that I don't want to look at? And is my intuition real intuition, or is it maybe just wishful thinking? And these are some really tough questions that we may have to ask ourselves. But the thing is, if you start being brutally honest with yourself about these things in advance, then you're less likely to experience situations where life is throwing some really unpleasant situations at you to force you to look at those things that you've been ignoring. And this might look like an identity crisis on the surface, but actually this is just refinement. Neptune's final gift is helping you distinguish between what is true spiritual power and what is just theater and showmanship. Because true spiritual transformation should show up with real tangible results in the world. It should make you more loving, more effective, more successful, more productive, more present in your life. The spiritual world and the material world are not separate. They are intertwined, they are interconnected. So if you're doing the work in one, then it should absolutely show up in the other one as well. So that's where I invite you to be brutally honest with yourself and look at which spiritual practices actually do make a difference in your life and which are maybe a bit more for show or kind of wishful thinking. I'll give you an example. Maybe one of your practices is to read a spiritual book in the morning, whether that's the Bible or a spiritual book by a modern author, or maybe even just something that's related to personal development. Ask yourself, does this actually make a positive, tangible difference in my life? And be honest with yourself, even if it's just, yeah, actually it inspires me for the day, it motivates me for the day, and it makes me make better choices, more loving choices, and better decisions throughout the day if I do this in the morning. Great. Keep it up. Obviously, it has some benefits in your life. But if the answer is something like, well, to be honest, I'm really tired in the morning and I kind of sleep halfway through it, and I want to be that person that does this because I see other people do it and I see it in these beautiful, beautiful morning routines, and I want to be that person, but I kind of just doze my way through it, then it may be time to rethink that. Maybe just move your reading time to another time. Maybe it'll be more successful for you then. But it's time to rethink that habit either way. The vision versus reality integration challenge. Many of you may feel like your visions and your dreams all of a sudden seem a lot less clear, more hazy, or just really out of reach all of a sudden. Maybe you start questioning your purpose. Maybe you start questioning your faith. This transit is going to be very, very uncomfortable for organized religion in particular, because there's going to be a lot of questioning happening. Or maybe you're starting to question your creativity. Neptune also rules creativity and the arts. Well, actually, that's all a sign of spiritual maturation and awakening. Because what Neptune is asking you, as it's taking this energy to the extreme, transiting one final time through the very last degrees of Pisces, is to show you where you've kind of just been daydreaming, where you haven't been grounding your dreams and your visions in reality, where you haven't been taking action, where you've just been daydreaming, expecting the universe to bring you everything on a silver platter, but refusing to not even meet it halfway, refusing to just get off the couch and do something. This is not to break your dreams or to discourage them. But if they're starting to feel out of reach, it means that you haven't been doing your part to meet the universe part of the way towards your manifestation. Your soulmate is not just going to come knocking on the door, carrying a bag with $10 million in it, while you're sitting on the sofa and visualizing and speaking affirmations in your mind. You do have to take some kind of action. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be difficult. In fact, it should be fun. It should be aligned. It should be joyful, but you do have to do something. There does need to be some real intelligent, practical effort coming from your side. So if you do find yourself caught in daydreams, which by the way, I highly encourage, daydreaming is fantastic for you. But when you do catch yourself caught up, or when you do feel that kind of spark of inspiration or of just this divine insight coming in, just stop for a moment and ask yourself, what is one action I can take this week, not in 5 years or 10 years, this week, to take me one step closer towards that daydream and towards that vision. And if you cannot think of a single thing that you could possibly do, then this is just escapism. Then you're just escaping into fantasy rather than manifesting that dream life into physical reality, which is where we all are at the moment and which we are not getting away from anytime soon. Challenge number 3, the authority versus humility paradox. Pisces energy is very humble, up to the point of downright self-erasure. And this is something that has been celebrated in religious and spiritual circles for the longest time. We have glorified this image of the humble servant. where any kind of self-promotion is frowned upon. Any kind of marketing yourself, which is a major skill that you need in the world these days, is frowned upon in the spiritual circles, because what I deserve should just come my way. And that kind of belief does not give you the full picture, because what we end up doing is we just sell ourselves short, and we're actually robbing the world of our power, of our authority, and of our conscious leadership. Hiding your gifts, whether these gifts are more traditional skills or maybe something that's a little bit out there, hiding those isn't humility. Hiding those isn't actually keeping you safe. You are robbing the world of being able to collectively learn and evolve through your very, very real experiences and your valuable contribution through that. So stop diminishing your wisdom. Stop diminishing yourself. I know that especially us women are very guilty of that, and we fall into that trap very often because we don't want to be too much. But it's time to step up, and it's time to share your wisdom, whether that's with the world or whether that's just with your immediate surroundings. We need your wisdom and we need your spiritual insight. And of course, this transit also brings some unprecedented opportunities, and we're going to go into these next. The first one being master level manifestation, and this is a juicy one, because here's what a lot of people don't understand. Neptune in Pisces, especially in its final degrees, is, and I really hate the word manifestation portal, but it is basically opening up a manifestation portal unlike anything we have seen. The veil is going to be so thin. And the interesting thing is, just as Neptune retrogrades back into Pisces, the sun moves into Scorpio, which is the one time of year when the veil is super thin anyway. That's where Halloween came from. So the veil at the start of this transit is going to be basically imperceptible. But this is going to require some spiritual mastery to play with this. Otherwise, chaotic techniques may yield some chaotic results, and you may end up in a situation where the lessons kind of, be careful what you wish for. So to truly utilize these massively enhanced manifestation abilities, you need to be precise and you need to be smart about how you're doing this. So this is not just think positive things and good things will happen to you. You can manifest that way. I have done it in the past through sheer perseverance and stubbornness and persistence. I have manifested things by just thinking positive thoughts over and over and over in my head. That's exhausting. I kind of liken it to, imagine you've got a block of wood and you're trying to craft a beautiful statue and you're doing it with a nail file. That's what thinking positive thoughts in order to manifest something and just speaking affirmations over and over in order to manifest something is like. It's really exhausting. You can do it, but it will take a lot out of you. And there's far better ways of achieving that goal. Because the other problem with that is as well, when you are just using words to manifest, words aren't really perfect. There's a lot of things that we cannot express in words. That's why we have art. That's why we have music. That's why we have symbolism, because these things can express more than words can. Words are notoriously imprecise, especially the way that a lot of people are using them. And words have very individual connotations, which are lost on a lot of people. It takes a lot of skill to use words, only words, skillfully in order to manifest. And most of us are not poets. Most of us are not Pulitzer Prize winning novelists. We're just not that good with words in general as a society. But what you can do is you can start living your life as the version of you that has already manifested everything that you want to manifest. You can start looking at the world as that version of you. You can start acting and behaving as that version of you. And that is going to bring the results, A, so much faster, and B, you are also so much more likely to get the results that you want, because you're not chasing a word which can have many different meanings and connotations, but you're chasing a feeling. And even if the manifestation doesn't show up exactly as you imagined, if you are manifesting from a feeling, from a vibration, from a state of being, then if there are any surprises, then they're probably going to be positive ones, because the end feeling is still the same, or even better. You are stepping out of the limits and the confines of your small logical mind and stepping into something bigger in order to manifest from that place of something bigger and something infinitely smarter. And when you do that, especially during this Neptune and Pisces retrograde time, that's when it all of a sudden can feel and look like things are just magically falling into place, like things are just magically rearranging themselves in your life. Things are falling away, new people are coming in, new opportunities that you never could have imagined before are just shifting and presenting themselves to you, because you are living from that embodied version of you. And if you can do that throughout all of Neptune's Pisces transit, then when Neptune moves into Aries, when we are starting a new cycle, when things start becoming a lot more material and tangible, that's when we can expect to see results from this embodiment practice, which isn't that far away. The second opportunity that we get with Neptune in Pisces is intuitive intelligence mastery. Neptune in Pisces turns up the volume on our intuition very, very high. This is where some people can get downright psychic insights. But if that's not you, then don't worry, because there are plenty of fun things you can do on the way there. And you don't even have to become a psychic. That's not everyone's goal after all. In fact, for most of us, we are going to benefit far more from an ability to integrate our logical mind and our creative and intuitive mind, our left and right brain thinking. So this is a great opportunity to start making any major decisions or even small decisions from both a logical perspective and from that intuitive gut feeling kind of perspective. In fact, it's actually a good way to practice these decisions on something that doesn't really matter that much. On something like, well, what should I choose on the menu at the restaurant that I'm going to? What nail color should I have next? What shop should I go to today? Things like that. Because that's how you practice and that's how you gain more confidence in your own intuitive abilities. Because here's the thing. A lot of us don't really celebrate when we have used our intuition or our gut feeling to make a decision and it went well for us. We don't really acknowledge that. But when there are situations where we had a gut feeling and we had an intuitive nudge and we ignored that, and then it goes bad for us, those are the ones we remember. So a lot of us learn through pain rather than through positive reinforcement. And it doesn't have to be that way. The very easy way to flip that is to simply acknowledge when things have gone well for you after you've listened to your gut. So with any decisions that you're making, I invite you to just take a moment and drop into your body. That's where most of us feel our intuition. We feel it in our body. And think about option A and option B. And one of them will probably make you feel lighter in your body. It will make you feel a bit more expansive, a bit slightly excited, open, and more relaxed. Whereas the other option may make you feel like you're shrinking a little bit, like your muscles are contracting, like your body is contracting. And this is a very small, almost imperceptible shift. So you need to be very, very focused and pay close attention to that. But your body is where most of us will feel which is the better option. You will feel the difference between A and B. And the more you practice, the more you have some positive reinforcement to take with you and to strengthen that belief in your own intuition. And the stronger you believe in it, the stronger it will come through and the more you will notice the subtle signs next time around. And the third opportunity is conscious leadership authority. Neptune is an outer planet. It affects us globally. It affects us all as humanity in a very, very similar way. We see similar kind of themes come up in culture, in movies, in shows, in music, in art, in anything related to pop culture. And that's because we are all moving through this energy simultaneously. And because Neptune lasts in a sign for such a long time, we dive really deep into those themes. So there's a lot that we can kind of pull out of that idea and that archetype, in this case, Pisces. And what this means is that these insights that we get from any kind of Neptune transit or any kind of outer planet transit really is not really something to hide away. It's something that needs to be shared and that needs to be explored with others. This is where you are being asked to step into your spiritual authority, into your spiritual leadership. And that doesn't have to mean on a global scale. Not everyone has to quit their job and become a spiritual influencer on Instagram. This could mean stepping into your authority and your leadership role within your community, within your family, maybe at the place of work, maybe at an organization that you're a part of. But basically stop treating your spiritual experiences as this one-off weird kind of thing that could have only ever happened to you. Because when you open up about those experiences, you will notice that people are a lot more receptive to that than you might think, because there is a lesson in there. There is some intelligence behind that. There is information behind that that is oftentimes applicable to so many more people than just yourself. So don't hide it away from them. So now let's move on to some practical tools and techniques to help you make the most out of this transit and to catapult yourself into this new, better reality. First one we're going to talk about is the integrated intelligence method, because there is a bit of a tendency with Neptune being in Pisces, with this boundless oneness energy being so strong and so much amplified, that we can lose ourselves a little bit in our dreams, that we can become a bit ungrounded. So with this technique, which I encourage you to do at the start of every day, we want to make sure that we do merge the logical with the intuitive. So in the morning, depending on what kind of system you have to plan your tasks for the day, maybe you use an app, maybe you have a to-do list, maybe you use your calendar, whatever kind of system you have that works for you to organize the things that you have to do within a day. As you look at them, consider them first with your logical mind, and then tune into your intuition, drop into your body, be still, breathe deeply. What is my logical mind not seeing that my intuition knows? What does my intuitive intelligence know that my logical mind might be missing? And just go with the first thing that comes in. If this is a bit difficult, if you're struggling to get an answer from that, you may wish to try using some tarot cards or some oracle cards, because the symbolism within these cards is essentially a shortcut to your subconscious, to your intuition, which can stir something within you, which you will intuitively know and understand, okay, this is the thing, once you see that depicted in the symbols. And then make sure that you integrate both. Find a way to do both the logical things that you're supposed to be doing that day and to merge that with whatever intuitive insight you have gained that day. And some days that intuitive insight will be, today I need to slow down. Today I need to take a break. Some days it will be the opposite. Some days it will be like, actually, this is a lot of low priority things. There are some really important things that I need to be handling first, and then I will have a peace of mind. So just be open. It will differ from day to day, and go with the flow. See what comes up. And in a similar way, with the second technique, we're going to break down your goals. Maybe you already have a list of goals, maybe it's time to revise it, review it, maybe you don't. Maybe you just have some general ideas of what you would like to accomplish. If you do only have some general ideas, I do highly encourage you to write down your goals and make a plan. That's the first step towards achieving anything that matters, really, is to acknowledge it and write it down. But then, rather than just think about the practical steps that are going to take you there, consider what kind of shift in your consciousness, in your state of being is required in order to achieve that. What kind of person do you have to become in order to be fulfilling these goals or living these goals on a daily basis, depending on whether it's a kind of one-off thing or whether it's a permanent goal. And then make sure that you do both. Make sure that you do both the practical steps, but that you also work on your consciousness, on your spirituality, on your mindset, on the kind of person that you are, because these two go hand in hand. And your spiritual growth, your spiritual evolution should be going hand in hand with your material growth, with your productivity growth, with your physical growth. And you'll discover that spiritual work accelerates physical results, while the material physical work grounds all of the spiritual work, which can take us out of reality a little bit sometimes if that's the only thing that we're doing. And then the third technique is the transformational presence development. This is a beautiful one because it's so quick and so short, but it's so powerful and it makes such a difference. It can be a bit difficult to remember, so you may wish to set reminders on your phone, put it in your calendar plans if you're using a calendar to plan out your day, maybe stick something about it in your diary, because it's easy to forget, but it's quick to do and very transformative. And it's super easy. It's just a super quick intention that you set before any interaction, whether that's a client session, a meeting at work, a social media post, going to hang out with your friends, visiting your family, whatever it is. Set the intention that may my presence serve the highest good of all involved. And let yourself feel that. Let yourself truly feel that. And then show up as that version of yourself. Once you've set that intention, it's going to be very natural to show up as that version of yourself. Speak truth from a place that empowers others, that serves others, rather than just tries to impress others. And this makes such a huge difference. It's very, very powerful. So there are going to be a few particular times to pay close attention to during this Neptune and Pisces transit. Number one, any new moons during this time. These are going to be extra fertile ground for creation, for manifestation, for intention setting. Like we said earlier in this video, the veil is going to be so thin it's almost imperceptible. So your intentions carry so much power, especially during a new moon. I urge you to find a way to celebrate and honor every new moon during this time, even if it's just in the smallest way, with just a small intention setting ritual, lighting a candle, just being intentional about what you're doing, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Mercury retrograde period. Mercury is going to go retrograde almost in the middle of this Neptune in Pisces transit. This could become a little bit uncomfortable, especially for those who are very used to operating from a very logical and left brain kind of mode of being, because you are kind of being forced into really using your intuition. The kind of downloads and the kind of insights that you're going to get during this time are going to be out of this world. They're going to be very, very powerful, but it could be a bit jarring because it's so far away from your usual mode of operating. So just beware. Similarly, we're going to have a full moon in Cancer during this time. The full moon in Cancer is going to be on the 3rd of January. And this is where empathy and emotions and psychic insights are going to be at their peak. This is when we really start feeling into the world around us. And this, again, it could be a bit much. For those who are already naturally empathetic, this could be a time period around that time that could be quite overwhelming. I would highly suggest not to make any kind of major plans around that time. Do try to avoid any crowds. Anything where you can easily get overstimulated, because the psychic, empathic, intuitive connection that we're all going to have at that time is going to be very, very high, and it's going to be a lot. And then on the 14th of December, we have Mars in Sagittarius squaring Neptune in Pisces. And this is a time where we do need to beware any kind of tendencies towards martyrdom, towards sacrificing ourselves in the name of others, even though those others may have never wished for that sacrifice and may have never wished for what we are doing for them. So just beware of that on that day, December 14th. So Neptune's final move through Pisces is offering you the opportunity to integrate spiritual mastery and worldly mastery. It proves the point that spiritual work isn't just valid, it's pretty much essential for anyone who wishes to create significant impact. Since 2011, Neptune in Pisces has been reshaping our collective consciousness, our art, our media, our spirituality, our empathy. This final return is your chance to integrate everything you have learned. The compassion, the creativity, the connection, and to carry it into the next chapter with wisdom. Everything you have learned in these years and the final lessons of integration that are to come with this final transit are what are preparing you for Neptune's next move into Aries, starting an entirely new 165-year cycle where imagination turns into initiation and where we start something fresh and birth something new. So do let me know in the comments, what has been a spiritually significant event, some kind of spiritual insight that you've been hiding away from the world, that you've been keeping to yourself, but that might just help other people grow. Let's spread that. Let's share that with others and let's grow collectively. And if you've enjoyed this video, please make sure that you like it and that you subscribe so that you don't miss any future ones. And also make sure that you are subscribed to my completely free Manifestology newsletter, where I share more practical tools and techniques to help you step into that highest, best version of you, to help you manifest your dreams while perfectly using cosmic cycles and the energies that are influencing all of us. You'll find the sign up link in the description bar below. I'm also open for one-on-one consultations if you do want to dive deep into your own personal natal chart and see what this new cycle that is going to be born at the start of next year can signify for you, and what old cycle is coming to a close for you and how to grow and make the most of that. So thanks for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you next time. Bleh. Bleh.